President Lorenzo, President Costa, Chairperson Yusuf, fellow leaders, presidents, prime ministers, ladies and gentlemen. The last time we met in this format was mid-February 2022, just after a global pandemic and just before the war returned to Europe and before global politics became much more competitive and transactional. Since then, our world has changed profoundly. Global trade is more politicized than ever. Tariffs and trade barriers are being wielded aggressively. Export controls have become a tool to damage competitors and extract concessions. Global overcapacity in certain strategic fields has reached an all-time high. This is harming industries on both our continents, with consequences felt deep inside our societies. In this new reality, Africa and Europe are called to answer the very same questions. How can we create good jobs for our people? How can we deliver on the aspiration of our youth? How can we de-risk and diversify our economies? How can we break free from unsustainable dependencies while ensuring access to capital, resources, and technologies we need? Excellencies, fellow leaders, I believe that many of the answers lie in our partnership. In a more confrontational global economy, Africa and Europe need each other more than ever before. And this is what brings us here to Luanda. Today we can look back on the progress achieved since our last summit, but more importantly, we will look forward to new opportunities to work together. As old friends, but also as trading partners, investment partners, business partners, we want Africa and Europe to be partners of choice. Excellencies, fellow leaders, in a world of trade conflicts, a closer partnership between us begins with trade itself. Europe is already your first trading partner by far. 1/3 of Africa's total trade is with Europe. And Africa exports to Europe more than twice as much as to China, for example. Most of our trade has been duty-free and quota-free already for decades, thanks to our free trade deals and preference schemes, but I see room to expand our trade relationship even further. Right across the continent, we are building new infrastructure together to connect Africa and Europe. From ports to pipelines, the list is long. But take the Lobito Corridor. You all know this ambitious project to bring critical minerals from Zambia and DRC to global markets. But it is much more than that. As we launched the corridor, we also started working with farmers right here in Angola. European companies provided training. They helped local companies align with European standards and expand their export capacity. And this week we can celebrate that the very first shipment of Angolan avocados will leave Lobito bound to Europe. This is how we can make global trade a driver of local growth. And while we connect Africa to global markets, we are also supporting trade within your continent. I think this is the best way for African companies to scale up and prepare for global competition. With this summit, we are announcing more support to the African Continental Free Trade Area. And the message is clear. Even and especially in these times of global tensions, we believe in the power of trade because it delivers for our people and it delivers for our economies. Excellencies, fellow leaders, together with trade comes investment. And this is the second point I would like to address. At our summit 3 years ago, I presented our new Global Gateway Agenda, and you just referred to it. And in these 3 years, you have all seen what Global Gateway stands for. It is more than an investment and infrastructure development program. It invests in local jobs and local value chains. And this is what makes it unique in the global investment landscape. Other investors might follow a different playbook by building factories, whether in Africa or in Europe, but staff them with foreign workers. They drill, they mine, and they take the profits away. They often leave a legacy of unsustainable debts. This is not Europe's model. When we invest in the local processing of raw materials in Namibia or Zambia, when we build pharmaceutical industries from Senegal to Rwanda, when we bring data cables to the Maghreb and East Africa, these investments are truly in our mutual interest. They enable to move higher up the global value chain. They create new jobs for African youth, new skills for researchers, new businesses opportunities for African companies. And while doing so, we also create new markets for European companies and strengthen our European supply chain. So a true win-win situation. When we launched Global Gateway, we aimed to invest 150 billion in Africa by 2027. So far, we have already mobilized more than 120 billion euro, so we are well on track to meet our target. And at a time when major investors are rethinking their global engagement, Europe is very clear. Our commitment to Africa is here to stay. And this leads me to my third and final point, about one sector where it is particularly urgent to scale up investment. The global clean transition is now in full swing. Last year, over 90% of new energy capacity installed worldwide was renewable. Solar and wind have replaced coal as the leading source of electricity worldwide. But out of $2 trillion invested in clean energy globally in 2024, only 2% came to Africa, the continent with 60% of the world's best solar potential. This cannot be. It leaves 600 million people without electricity and 4 in 5 families without clean cooking options. Every person should have access to clean energy. Every continent should enjoy cheap energy. And this is why, together with President Ramaphosa, we launched a campaign. We called it Scaling Up Renewables in Africa. And at the G20 summit earlier this week, we reached 15.5 billion euros in global pledges. This is great news, and I want to thank the many leaders in this room that contributed. With the contributions made by governments and the private sector, we will bring electricity to millions of people across the continent. And this is also why we have pledged at the International Energy Agency's Clean Cooking Summit to deliver as Team Europe more than 400 million towards clean cooking projects in Africa. Because a just transition must be for all, and it must be made in Africa. Excellencies, fellow leaders, our partnership was born 25 years ago at the dawn of a new century. Back then, leaders from Africa and Europe agreed on a fundamental truth. Our continents have different histories, but we share the same destiny. What our predecessors called destiny has become reality today. Our prosperity is more connected than ever. We both need to build the industries of tomorrow. We both need to make the most of our talent and resources and get rid of dangerous dependencies. The case for Africa and Europe to join forces is overwhelming. So let us find new ways in doing so. Let us walk this path together. Thank you very much, and I wish us a very successful summit. Thank you.